Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to go over who am I, my whole journey through medical school to getting to medical school, and what's going to be the future journey. So for those of you who have never watched me, I'm Kartik Goswami. I'm currently a fourth year MD student in Northern California, and I kind of wanted to make this video as a motivational video for my younger self, you could say. For those out there that are struggling, that have gone through the ropes, have taken MCAT multiple times, have prepared for step one, starting at the very low point, took an SAT multiple times. You know, it's been a long journey of struggling for me to get to the point where I am right now. And I want to make this video for those to get some motivation that the struggling isn't forever. It's going to get better. And we're going to take a deep dive into everything that I've been through, and hopefully this inspires you. So my medical journey begins at an undergraduate school. I needed a specific MCAT score to go forward and matriculate onto the medical school. It was a specific MCAT score of 510, the golden score that I was told right as I entered undergrad. If I got in a 510, I would get the interview and get into med school. I went from the pre-COVID MCAT, took it once, to the COVID MCAT, took that twice, to the post-COVID MCAT, took that once. So I took the MCAT a total of 4 separate times. And the thing is, on my second MCAT attempt, I had to reschedule it 5 separate times because of all the COVID nonsense that was going on in the world. It was like, whoa, where do I reschedule? Where do I go? Where is it going to be? And I ended up rescheduling it in a different state, totally away from where I was. So I ended up in Nevada taking a test and ended up scoring worse on my second exam than I did on my first exam. So, you know, there it is. Once I took it my third time, it was still during the COVID era, I kind of gave up. I'll tell you my scores right now. First one was a 507, second one was a 506, third one was a 508. And again, I needed a magical 510 and I was nowhere near that. But after that third attempt, I gave up. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna apply to other schools that can take, you know, lower MCAT scores. And I was starting getting into other schools, you know, with lower MCAT scores. But because I didn't get that golden 510 for the school that I was part of, so I couldn't get into that one. But then my dad took me on a walk, and I remember this walk very specifically, and he was like, look, you're getting into medical schools, you're getting into, you know, something, you have something to get into. Why not give it up the first time? Why not just try for that 510? Just go for it. You're really right close to it. And he's like, you got nothing to lose at this point. And in my head, I was like, I just don't want to go through the frustration, the studying. I'm done. But then, you know, that logic kind of sunk in. And I was like, you know, I think there is something I can put in more and see what happens, but I'm just gonna give it my all. But I'm gonna do it in a very different way. But I'm getting into some schools, so at least I know I'll be somewhere. So I took my fourth MCAT and I ended up well above 510. I ended up with a 514. So I literally went from a 508 on my third attempt to 6 months later a 514. And I could tell you, I didn't know any more knowledge. It was just the way I was studying, more relaxed, more kind of doing me, being me, and just being able to focus on exam day. And I think that made a big difference. So I got the score I needed and I got into school I wanted to go. So that was a big relief. Then, you know, after getting the score, getting into school I wanted to go, which was, you know, the school I was already a part of, I had one of the best summers I've ever had. So I went to Hawaii right after graduating in June, and then I went to Texas to celebrate my birthday in July. So kind of just explored and enjoyed places that I wanted to go to, wanted to see again. And I got to skydive, I got to scuba dive, just things that were, you know, on my checklist for life. And I felt like this was an amazing summer. And I knew everyone told me that the summer before med school is very important. Live your life, do what you want. And then when you get into med school, you know, all things break loose and you're in the grind for the next 4 years. So I did that and I did everything I wanted and I don't regret it at all. I really enjoyed, didn't study anything, just prepared myself mentally to relax and enjoy the ride. And then came med school, and boy was med school a shock. It was such a hard transition. I came from a school, you know, an undergrad, which wasn't, I would say, the hardest, but going into med school, it was a totally different ball game. While I'm figuring out how to do all this school, you know, trying to get in a routine, figuring out what works for me, what's going to help me get through med school, I figured out I have a hernia and on my left inguinal side. And I'm like, what? I'm not even old, because this is supposed to happen to old people. So this all happened within the first 2 months. Lots of pain, lots of other symptoms were happening. And I'm like, okay, I need to take care of this. I need to go check out everything, doing appointments routinely, getting everything checked, get surgery scheduled, and you know, all that nonsense that gets scheduled just to figure out how to get this fixed. And I couldn't work out, which is one of the main things I always do to keep myself balanced. I feel like some sort of exercise always keeps me mentally sane, but I wasn't able to do that. I was told no exercising. So I was like, okay, I don't want to just be gaining bad weight. So then I started dieting on top of that, eating way less. And so I started losing all my muscle, losing all my weight. But I was like, you know, I'd rather do that and gain it back than gain some fat. And then I was out here like failing midterms in school and dealing with these doctor appointments and figuring out what to do, where to schedule everything. And this period was very rough. It was just figuring out how to deal with everything, and everything was thrown at me at once. It was something brand new to me, and I was like, whoa, what do I do? And once everything got fixed, you know, passed my finals on the midterms that I failed, and you know, got a ritual of what to do. Surgery was done, recovered well. Had my roommates really help me, really appreciate that. Shout out to them. But then went on, figured out how to study for med school, and I started passing and figuring out, okay, I got a methodology going, something that works for me, and I'm gonna do stuff how it works and just continue building on that. And let me tell you, the way that I found that worked for me, which I didn't want to do, but I ended up doing because it was the only way for me to pass, was I ended up studying basically all day long. I was trying to do, at the beginning of med school, I was trying to take multiple breaks, watch TV, watch movies throughout the day. It takes a lot of breaks, but I realized I wasn't able to study. For me, I need to go through a bunch of notes multiple times, bunch of questions multiple times to really put it into my brain. And I realized if that's the only way I can get through this, that's the only thing I need to do. So day in, day out, working from early morning hours to night. Yeah, I took many breaks in between, like lunch, I'll take an hour off, but I wasn't taking like, you know, many hours off throughout the day. Like some people study half the day and they were fine. I had to study, I'd say about 85-90% of the day to be fine. And then, you know, get through that first year and I'm past everything. I was like, okay, thank goodness. Let me take this summer, start preparing for step one and enjoy some stuff. Met this friend, we started doing some martial arts. I was going to the gym, I was playing video games. And then on top of that, I was studying for step one by doing sketchy videos. I was like, this is a good summer. You know, I'm grinding, I'm doing some research projects, I'm doing martial arts, which I love, and going to the gym at the same time. And I was like, okay, great, I'm gonna be set. Get into school second year. At the beginning, no problem. I have my methodology, I know how to work. I'm ready to do a day in, a day out, get it done. Then at the end of, well, you would say at the end of the halfway point of second year, I take my first practice exam for step one. And boy, did I do not well. You know, I started at the lower end. It was probably halfway of where I needed to be passing. But the halfway point came out to be a 143 or 146, one of those. I totally forgot now. I think it was a 146. And that just showed me, whoa, I need a 196 to pass. I need 50 more points. How am I gonna do this? And I took that on December 31st, 2022. And my test was on April 8th, 2023. So I literally had 4 months to figure out how to learn everything, address everything, and be ready for this exam. So I adjust my study method, you know, do a bunch of random stuff. And then I'm like, okay, I'll study this, do this. And I figure out I only get in the low 40s still. So I kept on adjusting, figuring out what study methods work for me. How do I study best for this exam? And, you know, just keep refining and finding specific Anki decks like the Duke deck and sketchy decks like the little Decophonik deck. You guys can go check out my other videos on what I actually did. But I just found these videos. I just found these little techniques and little nuances that when studying that really helped me. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm getting a roll, I'm understanding. And I realized my biggest weaknesses were farm and micro. And once I started hammering that in, learning that in, my scores started increasing because that was the biggest problem that I was having. Sorry if I'm getting into too many details and I'm boring you guys. Go check out my other step one videos if you're interested. Anyways, back to the point, how I got through this. Main point is like I skipped out on so much stuff, skipped on so many hangouts, so many groups, so many fun stuff, family stuff, so I could focus, sit in, and get this dialed in because this was like, I need to get this done. And lo and behold, like right before my actual exam day, I was scoring in the low 70s, take my exam, pass. I'm like, phew, now I can relax. And I had a 2-month break till my rotation started. So I took one of my old friends, and we went to Miami. We watched F1 GP. So fun. Never been to an F1 race before. It was really cool. You can check out, I have a video on that as well, but we got to the front row where the public can be to see the podium celebrations. Max, Fernando, and Perez. It was great. It was so fun. But yeah, so got a 2-month break after that. It was like so much grind, and then a little break. Then third year starts, and then you're making adjustments again. Brand new type of studying, brand new environments. You're straight into the real world. No more classrooms. And I remember I'm getting in there, and my real worry wasn't how I'm gonna learn on site, because I already knew as long as I'm on site and I'm getting information, I'm just absorbing and being respectful, I can do decent in my clinical rotations. My problem was the shelf exam. I'm not the best studier at all. And so I was like, okay, especially on my first rotation, I was like, I gotta do everything. So I was trying to learn everything, and UWorld for the first 2 weeks, I was scoring in the 15 to 20%. Actually, I think it was even lower, because I remember getting 0% so many times actually. And I was living at one of my friend's places in a different city, and it was just like, whoa, I don't know anything. I don't know how to do. So I'm like reading books on OBGYN, doing UWorld on it, doing these practice tests off of like Telegram. I'm doing a bunch of this random stuff to prepare, because I'm like, whoa, this is brand new. And then, I did okay enough to pass on the shelf. And then going forward, I was just adjusting how I'm studying, what podcasts I'm listening to, what parts of books I'm listening to, how I can prepare better for this exam. The shelves were so brutal for me, because they felt like something you can't really prepare exactly for, because it wasn't gonna ever ask you the exact questions you've seen before, but you can know the content. And if you knew all the content, then you could get it done. But I will say, third year, I really loved my rotations. The actual rotation sites never really plagued me too much. They were pretty fun to go through. Yeah, some were really long hours, but it's more fun than having to study all day long. I'd rather be in a clinic setting or hospital setting than sitting at home just studying something. I like to be active and doing stuff, so that wasn't the hard part. So, once I'm passing shelves and getting on with things halfway through the year, I take my first practice test for step 2. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a scored exam. I need to do way better than step 1. I need to improve my game, but I know what worked for me in step 1, and I'm gonna improve on that for step 2. And so I took it exactly a year and a day later. I took it January 1st, 2024. I took my first practice exam for step 2, and I scored in the low 30s again, which was another 146, I believe, on UWorld 1. And I was like, holy cow. Because for step 1, okay, I was 50 points off. But for step 2, my goal was a 250. I was 104 points off, and my exam was in May. So I had 5.5 months to figure out how to increase my score 104 points. So I thought that was an insane task, but I was like, I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna do something. So I took a bunch of different exams so often. I changed up my study style so often, changed up new Anki, watched videos, watched podcasts, watched so many different resources. Again, I have a bunch of videos on what I did for step 2. You can go check those out. But I did a bunch of different things to figure out, okay, how do I adapt? How do I evolve? How do I get better? I did start seeing improvements. And then about a month and a half out, I got up to the 230s. Just like, okay, I got this. And then, keep pushing, fell back down, went back up, fell back down. End result, I get my test score back after taking, I got a 252. I was like, whoa, I went up 106 points over the course of 5.5 months. Which I know some people are like, that's clickbait, that's random, but no, this is real. Again, you can go check out that video. I have all the explanations, the scores for every exam I've taken. And yeah, I was like, I got this, I did it. It was such a tough journey. Like 2 weeks before the exam, I got the lowest score I've ever gotten on a practice exam. And it was a lot of torture, a lot of mental pressure, and I got through it though. So hopefully that inspires you in that aspect. What got me through those last 2 weeks after getting the lowest score was I was watching a lot of McGregor Law of Attraction videos. I'm a big fan of Conor McGregor before his recent stuff that's happened. But back in the day, he was a great fighter. And I watched his Law of Attraction. I was like, whoa, this is how you do it. And I went on walks. I was just talking about the law of attraction. I was just thinking about it. Like, I'm getting 250 plus. I'm getting this done. This is going to happen. I see it happening. And so again, at the end result, I was like, the law of attraction is real. It's so powerful. If you keep telling yourself something, you keep putting it out into the universe, it will happen. You must work for it, of course. You must put endless amounts of effort in. But if you say it to others, you say it to yourself, you believe it, it will happen. And that was something so beautiful that I learned. And that's something I'm implementing in every part of my life aspects going forward. And then now fourth year started, in May of 2024, fourth year started. And it was, a great start to the year. No more studying for shelves, just pure clinical stuff. And that was so much better. I just love going and talking to patients, learning about stuff. Everything was on the fly and it was so much better than third year. And now I'm applying for internal medicine residency. I'm doing my interviews. I will give you exacts on everything for the interview cycle once it's done in a mass process. But as of right now, I got in a decent amount of interviews and hopefully we'll see. We'll match somewhere, hopefully decent. We'll see. We'll see what happens, whatever's in store. We'll be ready for it. But yeah, the point of this video is not just to show you who I am, but to give you some inspiration. This journey is such a tough, hard, long journey. I know some people get through it without that much toughness, that much struggle, but I'm telling you, it's so hard of a journey. And for those of you who are struggling through it, struggling getting through it, trust me, I know how hard it is. And I'm here to tell you, you can do this. You're gonna get through this. Believe in yourself, set goals for yourself and work for them, and they will happen. And endlessly, tirelessly put in all your effort to make it happen, and it will work out. And I'm telling you, this journey is worth it. It's worth it to everyone. It's worth it to you. If this is your passion, you must get through this, and you will get through this. And again, hope this inspires you guys. Hope this new year, 2025, starts out great for everyone. And for anyone going into medical school, has any questions whatsoever, you can email me at thedrjourney21@gmail.com. We have a website, thedrjourney.com. We're gonna soon, probably by the time of launching this video, very shortly after, we're gonna be launching a whole free PDF. It's gonna have everything you need to know for staff in terms of like how to register, how to study, all the little content that I personally took notes on will be on there also, all for free. You guys can go download that as well. So I'm here to help you guys. We're here to help you guys. Hopefully this inspires you again, and wishing you the best this new year. We're gonna get this done. You guys are gonna become doctors and we're gonna fulfill our dreams. Stay happy and stay healthy, everyone.